My pleasure to introduce Dr. Simone Gold.
Hello, Los Angeles. Oh my gosh. So this is my hometown. So I feel the pain. We're living in really difficult times. So I'm just going to share a little bit of information with you and hopefully inspire you a bit so that you know why you're on this path that you've chosen, right? Because it would be easier to be blue-pilled. It would be easier to be blue-pilled. Why did you choose the red pill? We're going to talk about that a little bit. Essentially, the way I see it is that we are in the second Revolutionary War. We are battling for the soul of this nation, right? The reality is that we are living under a tyranny we never thought was possible in America. We have lost almost all of our constitutional rights. I hope it's temporary, but let's review what we've lost. Really, we hang on to the Second Amendment by a thread, but the others at the moment are gone. First Amendment, right? The freedom of religion. We saw what happened to that this year. I mean, this is first line of the Constitution, and it was just abrogated. Free press, gone. Why is it gone? Because it's a monopoly. Not only corrupt, but it's a monopoly. Right? You can have corrupt media as long as you have corrupt media on both sides. But when the corruption and a monopoly, there's no more free press. Without a free press, you cannot have a free people. The right to peacefully assemble. We lost that this year. You know, about 2 months ago, the former FDA commissioner said publicly that 6 foot was a made-up number. We knew that as doctors. Of course it was made up, but I'm sharing that with you, that the FDA commissioner said this was a made-up number. Masks. They made it up, by the way, because what it did was it made the schools give them cover to close, right? If they had said 3 feet, the schools wouldn't have had to close. This was all planned. The right to petition the government, right? That was gone. Fourth Amendment, bodily integrity. That's our fight, right? That's definitely under attack. Fifth Amendment has to do with due process. We've seen what happened, people languishing in jail. Right? No right anymore, like the 7th Amendment, right to a jury trial, just gone during the era of lockdowns. 8th Amendment, no excessive bail, cruel and unusual punishment, gone. There's people languishing in jail right now that are January 6th defendants from an overzealous Department of Justice. People who are not criminals, people who had no criminal history, no record of violence, no weapons, and they're languishing in jail for months? This is in our Constitution and it's illegal. I start with all this so that you realize that the fight you're in, it's not just a fight for your job. We're right in a fight for the soul of the nation and your children and your entire life. Yeah. How did we lose so many constitutional rights? Well, Marxists, communists and Marxists take down a nation in 4 steps. First, they disorient you. First they demoralize you. That's step number 1. We heard so much for so long about how our country's so racist and so terrible and nothing to be proud of. That was stage 1, to demoralize the people. Stage 2 is disorient the people. What did they do to disorient us? They tell you something, you follow it, and then a month or 2 later, it's something new and something different. We're all living through that, and then everybody pretends that's not what they've done. That's very disorienting. We all heard initially, right, that the shots work. We, of course, as doctors knew that they didn't stop transmission from the outset, but lay people didn't know that. So you're watching the media tell you it works, and slowly they pull back from that because the evidence is overwhelming. I'm pointing it out because it's very disorienting, right? It's very disorienting. The third thing is to precipitate a crisis, and then the fourth that the Marxists do is a promise to normalize our situation, improve our situation, if only we would comply. That's what's going on right now. It's more than just your job. So you must accept that medical tyranny is just the mechanism, it's just the means to control us. It could be religious tyranny or economic tyranny. It happens to be medical, but you should not obsess on the medical. Start obsessing about the tyranny. Medical tyranny is the most effective type of tyranny because it is silent, it is stealth, it causes great fear and cowardice, it causes a hyper-reliance on authority, it distracts people from the real enemy. The vaxxed think the enemy is the normals, and the normals think the enemy are the vaxxed. But we have a mutual enemy, which is the tyrannical overlords that want to divide and conquer us. Just as they pit male against female, black against white, rich against poor, the current debate is vaxxed against normals. This is not a new fight. It's just new to our generation.
Yeah. I think that.
What do I mean by that? One of our founding fathers is attributed with the following quote: "Unless we put medical freedom into the Constitution, the time will come when all medicine will organize an undercover dictatorship to reduce the art of healing to one class and deny privileges to others. But all such laws are un-American and have no place in a republic. The Constitution of this republic should make special privilege for medical freedom as well as religious freedom." Right? Now, that quote is attributed to one of our founding fathers, personal physician to George Washington, Dr. Benjamin Rush. I share this with you so that you know that this is an old fight. You're just, and me as well, waking up to it. But you should be empowered and inspired for the position that you're taking, because you're standing for the side of freedom and for the sovereignty of our nation. Now, this is really coming to pass. I don't talk in hyperbole. The governor of Colorado, as you may have heard, passed an executive order discriminating against people based upon their vaccination status. At the end of this fight, which we will win, we must get a constitutional amendment to preserve our right to medical freedom. Now, how does 1% control the other 99%? It's not by having more policemen. This will not look like Nazi Germany. This version of tyranny will be bureaucratic social control like China, social credit scores. We are seeing that now, the threat of job loss, etc. It's a very short leap to having your bank scores, your credit scores, being messed around with. That's where we're going. So as difficult as each person's specific situation is right now, facing unemployment is not the main problem. What's at stake is all human freedom. We are all on the front lines. Let's understand what the fight is. We are fighting a communist takeover of our nation. What that means is that it's time to let your inner warrior out. Go on the offensive. Do not be on the defensive. Every single person can push back to some degree. Pushing back by refusing to be bullied by your employer is very, very important. 4 types of pushing backs to consider. First, what many of you are doing, refusing to comply with tyrannical, unconstitutional orders from your employer. There are so many reasons you are on the right path. Number 1, many of you are prompted simply for concern over your own health. If that is your judgment, you must stand by it. We at America's Frontline Doctors don't make the choices for people. We encourage you to make the choices for yourself. And if you go to americasfrontlinedoctors.org, you can see the science. And like me, you may decide the vaccine is absolutely not worth it. I could go on like that for days. But we're not here to tell you. We're here to tell you that if you make that decision, there's a lot of science to back up that your decision that you're standing for right now, that you're paying for right now, is the right choice for your health. It's your decision. The second reason to stand strong against tyrannical employers is your soul. This is at least as important as your health. If you bow to your employer, if you take a knee to your employer, the scar of your surrender will not fade. Your belief in yourself will diminish, will weaken. This is actually their goal, to create a world where humans believe that they need overlords to think for them. If you comply against your own sense of dignity, the scar of the surrender will remain on your soul. Number 3 reason to not comply if you don't want, or not to let yourself be bullied, is your nation. Should enough people take a knee to tyrants in violation of all of our legal constitutional rights, basic human freedom will cease to exist in America. It's so basic, the right to control your body. If we submit here, there's nothing that won't be on the table. Nothing. And reason number 4 is worldwide humanity. As America goes, so goes the world. We still have a chance to fight. Now, America is often, actually typically, late to fight the just cause. We are sometimes referred to as the sleeping giant. But when the sleeping giant of America wakes, the entire world will hear us roar. So fight for yourself, fight for your nation, and fight for those who are prevented from fighting. And a shout out to Australia. So that's the first way you fight back, is you do not let yourself be bullied by tyrannical employers. The second way to fight back, you're going to find a little bit strange coming from a person in my position, but you must be done with the public schools and take on schooling for your children yourself. I have been a public school, I never thought about public school one way or another. I went through public schools and my children went through public schools. But they're teaching the children poison intellectually. They're teaching them to hate our nation. And when I was writing this speech, I said most schools, but it's all schools. It's just a matter of degree. Because all schools have some teachers that hate America and are teaching that. And the principals won't pull back even if the principals don't hate America. You must pull your children out of the public or the private schools, both.
Yes!
Teaching the children poison is a well-known tactic of communists. Communist Lenin said, quote, "Give me 4 years to teach the children, and the seed I have sown will never be uprooted. Give us a child for 8 years, and it will be a communist forever. Destroy the family, you destroy the country. Oblige the mother to give her child to the Soviet state." This is not an exaggeration to say this is happening now. Some of you may have followed the election results last week in Virginia. The sleeping giants of America has started to wake up. The leftist communist nominee for the governor of Virginia literally said aggressively and repeatedly that parents should have no say in what their children are learning. In his view, the children belong to the state because that is a normal communist view. It's mainstream in communist nations. Well, it's not mainstream here, and you cannot let your children or grandchildren be enrolled in such communist garbage. Now, not only is this relevant to the future, it's relevant to you personally. Many jurisdictions immediately displaced the parents and empowered the state through the schools to give children shots without their parents' consent or knowledge. This was shocking to me as a doctor and a lawyer. No sooner did the FDA authorize that 12-year-old kids could take this shot. Within 1 week, some local jurisdictions passed rules saying that if the kid comes to school, they can get the shot if they want it without asking the parents or telling the parents. In other words, your child comes home and he or she got a shot, whether or not you wanted it, whether or not his brother had died from a vaccine reaction. Literally, it's not relevant because the child belongs to the state. That's what's happening in some jurisdictions. The first one to do it was San Francisco.
San Francisco.
They've authorized that the shots now be given to 5 to 11-year-olds. And people ask me, do I think that they're going to authorize the schools to give the shots to the 5 or to 11-year-olds without the parents' consent? My opinion is I don't think they're going to go there because we're putting up a fight. But they might. They might. I don't know. You need to pull your children out because literally they're taking them away from you anyway. Now, you should know that the World Health Organization policy, which is not United States policy yet, but the World Health Organization policy is that if a child goes to school, the parent has given implied consent for that child to be vaccinated. So I fully expect one day soon there will be a bill introduced into Congress saying that we should follow World Health Organization guidelines, and you won't know that that's what's in there. There's so many of these minefields. You cannot play Russian roulette with your children.
Nice to see you.
Now, if you take your children out, there are many dramatic and obvious benefits. Intellectually, spiritually, and as I said, even physically at this point. You will also be rewarded with a much higher quality relationship with your child. And collectively, we can bankrupt the school systems. The only reason not to do it is many people have never thought about it. If you had said this to me 2 years ago, it would have been a foreign concept. So I'm introducing this concept to a lot of you for the first time. Please consider it. Homeschooling is not where you need to know calculus and algebra and be able to teach world government and world religions. There's so many resources now. It's really just setting up and accepting it in your own mind. Please consider it. Way to fight back number 3. Strongly consider moving to a non-city. There really are no blue states. There are only blue cities. It turns out that size does matter, and you want less of it. Move to less dense areas and get to know your sheriff. This is critical. Remember, Thomas Jefferson said, when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. When the government fears the people, there is liberty. That's us. Now, America's Frontline Doctors is your partner against the tyranny. We are your freedom fighters. We are the real ACLU. We are fighting for your constitutional freedom. And here's how. Thank you. You are so welcome. This is what I live for.
Thank you.
So a couple of things that we do to help you. First, many of you came to know us because you were looking for early treatment medicines yourself. If that's something that you want to avail yourself of, and I strongly encourage everyone to have hydroxychloroquine or ivermectin or other medicines in their medicine cabinet, so when you get SARS-CoV-2, you don't get scared. The truth is, according to the CDC, in young people, 99.997% survive with no treatment. Even in middle age, 99.98 survive. You know, the numbers, this is not something to live in fear over. But you have Tylenol at home, why not have other early treatment? The main reason is your doctor won't give it to you, the pharmacist won't dispense it, but if you go to aflds.org/meds, you sign up for a telemedicine consult, and the medicines are mailed to you.
Thank you, Dr. Simone Gold.
I just want to put it out there, sometimes there have been delays because they've tried to hack us and take us down. Just be patient. Sometimes it works very quickly and you get them within 2, 3, 4 days. Other times there's delays due to factors beyond our control. But F as in Frank, LDS.org/meds. Number 2, people here, join our Citizen Corps. Citizens are how we're going to win back our nation. AFLDS.org/citizen. What is a Citizen Corps? We put you together with the people standing next to you when you need someone to go to the school board meeting, when you need someone to go to the city council meeting, right? Who do you go with? You need a posse. AFLDS.org/citizen. We put you together. It's like a matchmaking service for people in your neighborhood. 3, we are fighting for you hard in the courts. Now, we've sued the University of California, the University of Nevada, Department of Defense. I see a sign here that vaccine passports are racist. They most definitely are. And we've sued Jim Crow de Blasio in New York. Jim Crow de Blasio thinks that if you don't get a shot, you can't participate in public life. There's just a problem. Black people are far more suspicious of the government than white people, and with good reason. There's a lot of scientific reason why. There's Tuskegee, there's Henrietta Lacks, there's the CDC whistleblower, Dr. Thompson, who showed that the measles shots were worse for black babies than white babies, and the CDC shredded all that data. There's lots of reasons why black people are more suspicious. But whatever the reason, the law in New York is you can't pass a rule that has a disparate impact on the races. But many less people are getting vaccinated who are black in New York, so the law on its face is unconstitutional, and Mayor de Blasio is going to have to answer on November 18th in the 2nd District in New York. The most important recent case we brought, if you haven't heard, is against Kaiser. Have you heard about our Kaiser case? You must go to the website. We are suing on behalf of anyone who works at Kaiser. Many thousands of people came to us from Kaiser. Kaiser required that you take the shot even if you worked from home remotely, even if you never saw a patient, you're sitting in your bedroom office on the computer, right? Obviously, it's not about health. Well, it turns out Kaiser was also much too cozy with the federal government and the state government that made these rules. Read all about it in the lawsuit. This lawsuit has all the science, all of it. We have the most numbers of experts in any declaration we've seen. And number 3, and this is very exciting, the judges so far have thought of this issue as a vaccine issue. A vaccine issue is something that's in the public interest. The landmark case on vaccine, you may have heard of it, is called Jacobson, 1905, Supreme Court. But Jacobson's ruling was for a situation to stop the spread of a contagious disease. It says that in quotes. What's the problem? These shots don't stop the spread of SARS-2. Who says that? The director of the CDC says that. Fauci says that. The UK Prime Minister says that. Joe Biden has said that. Everyone agrees they don't stop transmission. So I'm here to tell you, this isn't a vaccine case at all. This is your right to refuse medical treatment case. Now, what does that mean? As a lawyer, it's completely different. This has never been brought to the courts before, and we at America's Frontline Doctors brought it for the first time. We're saying to the judge, this isn't a vaccine case at all. Everyone agrees it doesn't stop transmission. This is not for the public health. This is a person's own personal treatment choice. This is a landmark case. Watch it closely. Now, the things you can do, enlist other people to your side by freedom arguments. Stop talking about the vaccine except in your own little world and with your own friends. For everyone else, it's about freedom. It's about the right to choose. There are a lot of people who choose to take the shots who don't like the tyranny that they're seeing, who don't like that they wake up and they discover the shots don't work for Delta. Maybe they're mad about that. Maybe they're mad that they're told to get a 3rd or a 4th shot. A lot of those people are our natural allies. Don't be hung up on the vaccine issue because really, it's about freedom and choice. You need to grab your allies and build your alliances. Go on the offensive like this. Citizens are going to have to start engaging. You're going to have to be in the streets. You're going to have sick outs or marches, but you must get engaged on a personal level. As I said, do not allow yourself to be coerced. It changes you as a person. Also, many lawsuits are coming up and the final chapter has not been written, so there's no reason to allow yourself to be coerced yet. Consider leaving the public schools. Give it some serious thought. Consider moving to a lower population area. Consider becoming a paying member of americasfrontlinedoctors.org. You can come for free and get all the information for free, but please consider becoming a monthly donor. And most important and easiest of all, be joyful while fighting. They want you to be miserable, because when you're miserable, you don't have energy to fight. You look down, you don't engage your neighbors and your friends. Be joyful. We're going to win. We're on the right side. I am not here to wake up the sheep. I am here to wake up the other lions. That's
you. God bless Dr.
All
Simone
right, guys.
Gold.
Again, I just want to
God
thank
bless America.
each and every one of you guys for standing out here today. I want to thank everybody, all the speakers that come up. We have two veterans, retired veterans up here that have been big